going on, everyone? Welcome to the RabidMining YouTube channel, and today I know a bunch of you guys have been waiting for this, so we did test out this 7950X CPU on Ghostrider. So some of you that's not quite used to CPU mining or something, you're probably wondering, what's the big deal about Ghostrider? And Ghostrider algorithm is pretty much what sets Ryzen CPU mining way ahead of Intel, where it uses 2 megabytes of L3 cache per thread to utilize that. And Intel, they severely lack the L3 cache, therefore their CPUs literally suck for mining. And Ghostrider was debuted with Raptoreum, and a whole bunch of forks have come about ever since Raptoreum debuted there sometime a little over a year ago, and they have been the most profitable coins to mine for CPUs. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the L3 cache in the simplest way I kind of can, so most people understand. So as GPU miners coming in to check out CPU miners, think about your DAG size. Now 4 gigabyte GPUs, once Ethereum moved past that 4 gigabyte DAG limit, 4 gigabyte GPUs could no longer mine Ethereum or other coins that are above that 4 gigabyte DAG. So L3 cache for your CPU miners act kind of the same if that algorithm of the coin utilizes L3 cache. In Ghostrider's case, 2 megabytes per thread is needed of L3 cache. These do have 64 megabytes of L3 cache, which means you can utilize up to 32 threads. Now, Intel, they can have 20 cores, 16 cores, 32 threads, whatever, but if they only put 16 megabytes of L3 cache into a big CPU like that, you're only using 8 threads. The rest of the CPU is dead in the water and not getting used. So those CPUs suck because you can't even utilize them for mining this algorithm. As well, the Ghostrider algorithm is one of the most complex algorithms out there for any coin mining. So it has about 20 rotations. So within the algorithm, there's 20 mini algorithms. When you're actually benchmarking it, there's almost like 40 because each mini algorithm has 2 separate ones a part of that, adding up for a total of 40. And each one of those has a different hash rate and a different power consumption. So you have to run for at least 24 hours or run the benchmarking tool, which I did utilize to get these tests here. I did use CPU Miner GR, and the benchmarking, once I do mine Raptoreum and the Ghostrider, I do recommend XMRig. It just seems to be the better miner to mine with. But for benchmarking, utilize CPU Miner GR. Now, I recently just did that test on XMR, and I like to start off with XMR because it is a pretty demanding algorithm. And once you get nice stable overclock settings and everything on RandomX, then you will most likely be pretty much good to go on any other algorithm. Some may need a little more tweaking, maybe an extra 0.01 volts or something. I did find that out in my high-end test here while doing this. And also, it is not RAM dependent. When I say RAM dependent, that means a single stick, 2 sticks, expo profile on, expo profile off, they all perform the same. Single channel, dual channel does not matter. With Ghostrider, I found the same things in coins like Duro and a couple others out there. So when I do my test on the efficient settings here, I do go through both sticks. I go through 1 stick, and I go through both sticks with the Expo profile on and Expo profile off. If you're unfamiliar with Expo, that's your XMP profile, which is overclocking your RAM. So I do go through that. When I get into the high-end test, I only test XMP profile off with 1 stick of RAM because I did get to some pretty high temperatures here, and I didn't want to run through it all too many times. You will see that later on in this video, but I want to point these things out. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to have questions. It's all going to be answered right here within what I just said, and then you're going to have to just rewind the video and watch it because a lot of people don't understand how Ghostrider really operates. Okay, so let's get into the testing phase and just show you how well did the 7950X do on Ghostrider. All right, guys, so here we are. I got a little spreadsheet put together with all my data, and it's a pretty quick one here, but it did take quite a bit of time to get these numbers for you guys. So hopefully you guys appreciate it and stuff like that. I also have the individual benchmarking sheets here, which we'll go over, and you can see actually how it performs per rotation after we go through the quick numbers. So kind of sort this out, we got our OC here, the volts I use, RAM sticks used for the testing, Expo, that's your XMP profile, if it was on, off, or whatnot. high end. So because the power varies between each one, I recorded the high end power. This is all at the wall, no software, nothing. The legit power you are using for your complete system. So I got the power high, the power low, and then we got our average hash rate, which is what you base everything by for Ghostrider, and then the temperature at the CPU in between this benchmarking process. So here I started off at the 4.05 gigahertz section at 0.9 volts. Now in the past XMR video, this is where we found some nice efficient settings. So that's what I went for, the efficient settings here. And then just like that video, 5.3 was the high end, and that's what I used for the high. So at 4.05 gigahertz at 0.9 volts, 2 sticks of RAM at here, no expo profile, so that means no overclocking or anything on the RAM. I hit a power high of 137 watts on the highest rotation, and the low was at 96. Now the average power throughout most of those rotations, it did hang out slightly above the low here. We're probably around anywhere between 95 to 100 watts on most of those. And then there were a couple that spiked to like 120 to 137, but most of them were around 100 watts. And then we had an average hash rate of 4.4 kilohash, or 4,442 hashes. The low end temp was 38 and the high that I seen was 40 degrees. Now with the exact same settings, moving on, still 2 sticks around, but now we're using our Expo 1, which is overclocking that RAM to see more performance, which we do see on XMR and some other set coins. We did hit a power high of 152. So you can see we are using more power here than when we did not overclock our RAM, obviously. And our low end power was at 107, and I believe our average in there was mostly sitting around 110 to 115 watts. But for the extra power, we only gained like, what is this, 6 hashes or something. So not very much hashes was gained. Temperatures remained around the same. Our high end did hit about 5 degrees higher, but it was still 4.4 kilohash on the average. So overclocking that RAM, like I tried showing or mentioning at the beginning of this video, and how we've tested this with a 3900X and everything in the past, we do notice these things, that RAM is not dependent when it comes to the Ghostrider algorithm. It's a waste of time. And what does that mean? That means a single kit with 2 sticks will work for 2 rigs if you only plan on mining Ghostrider. So it saves you money on rig builds only utilizing a single stick. And now continuing on from there at 4.05, 0.9 volts, but this time only a single RAM stick with that Expo profile on, which for Ghostrider is your most efficient setting. We've talked about this in previous videos with previous gens of CPUs. Our high-end power was only 130 watts, so it's down from the 137 peak with the 2 sticks there. Our low-end power was 94, and we were averaging in between the 95 and again to the 100 watt range most of the time. So we're using a little bit less power, and we can see we have the exact same hash rate as when we had the 2 sticks in and no XMP profile. So 1 stick to 2 stick did 0 difference in my testing here. That's why I say a single stick of RAM for Ghostrider is all you need. And then our temperatures were the 38 to 40 range that we did see previously with the non-XMP profile on as well. Okay, so here is the high setting. Now 5.3 gigahertz at 1.26 volts. Now in XMR, 1.25 was stable, but here on rotation number 3, I did get a system reboot, so I did bump it up to 1.26. I might have got away with 1.255 or something, but I just went to 1.26, and you know, it went through the benchmark and everything was good. I used a single stick of RAM with the XMP profile off because that would be our most efficient way to utilize this based on our previous tests. And if we understand Ghostrider, we know that this is all we need to do here. Expo off, like I said. Now the power high was 316 watts. That's insane. We're over double of what we would actually be doing on our efficient setting. The power low is 182 watts. That was insane. And our average here was around 190 to 200 watts back and forth. So we're using a lot more power. But for our hash rate, we did average in at about 5.8 kilohash, or a total of 5,809 hashes. Now here is the reason why I didn't do more tests. We can see our low on the temperature was 61, but the high was 107 degrees. We got pretty warm utilizing these settings here, so I didn't want to run through the test, and we would have got, once we put in the second stick of RAM and turned on Expo, we would have probably hit 110, maybe even higher, depending on how that would have turned out. So I didn't want to do any more tests and potentially light this rig on fire. That would have been a bad day. So, you know, just based on past experience and everything we know nothing is really going to change in terms of our hash rate or anything. So I ran with the single stick Expo off for the most efficient setting that we could get based on these clock speeds and voltages. And this is what we're at. So I just added in just now some quick calculations to determine efficient settings versus super overclocking. Now, obviously, if you had a nice good cooler and everything, as well as free power, cranking it up isn't going to be much of an issue for you. But for those of you guys like myself, 10 cents power or higher, you're going to want to run efficient here. And this is how it kind of makes a difference. So cranking it up to here, you're only getting an extra 1.3 kilohash, but you're pretty much doubling the power. Now, if you ran 2 rigs efficiently, you would get 8.8 kilohash, 8,884 at 200 watts, which is an extra 10 watts over just utilizing it by itself overclocked. So you're getting an extra 3,075 hashes for only 10 watts extra running 2 complete rigs over the single one here. So you can see where efficiency does matter. And the more and more rigs you have, you're going to have a super high power bill if you're cranking these things up while CPU mining, which is why I always look at the highest hash to watt ratios and efficient settings, whether it's GPU mining or CPU mining. All right, so here is the actual benchmarking sheet from the high end, the 5.3 gigahash. And we can see there's 20 full rotations, but each rotation is benchmarked having 2 mini ones within it, which in theory, that would make 40 full rotations within the Ghostrider algorithm, and everything has a slightly different hash rate. So this is why you do see your hash rate fluctuate up and down all the time. Some people look at this and they're like, why is my hash rate all over the place? This is why your hash rate's all over the place. It's the way the Ghostrider algorithm works. But look at rotation 16, 23 kilohash. When it hits this rotation, you are mining away, destroying Ghostrider. Like literally, look at the jump from there. So we have 23 kilohash on the high. We can get as low as 4.4. 4.4, is that the, no, we're at 3.4 here in rotation 11. So we go from 3.4 upwards of 23. So you can see the variance difference here and why you really got to understand why that 24-hour average or something is the hash rate you got to base it by. If you punch 23 kilohash into a profit calculator because you just turned it on and it's on that rotation, you're like, oh my gosh, what have I been doing? Why did I even buy a GPU in the past? This thing is making me like $15, $20, $30 a day right now. That's insane. I'm all in CPUs. But then you could turn it on, you'll look at it, you'll see, you know, 3.4 or something, you'll punch it in and be like, well, that's not too hot. You know, I might be slightly breaking even or something. So this is garbage. It's a waste of money. So these are different things and factors you got to realize, and you got to base it off that average hash rate. And if you wanted, you know, here's a sideways comparison between the two. So 5.3 at 1 stick of RAM, no Expo profile is here on the left, and on the right is our 1 stick, no Expo 4.05, 0.9 volts. And we can see here's the difference between the averages, the different rotations. You can pause the video or whatever. The 16 rotation high is 17.6 kilohash with our efficient setting, where again 23,000 on the other one. But we're saving so much more power in the process utilizing these efficient settings. But here is my benchmarking test for Ghostrider on the 7950X. Let's take a look at a little bit of profitability now. So let's kind of have a look at the profitability of this CPU now. And here's Ghostrider on the efficient settings, 4.4 kilohash at 100 watts, about average here, and 11 cents power. That's what I have, 15 cents Canadians, about 11 cents USD. Scrolling down on Ghostrider, we can see we're making 84 cents before power, 57 cents after power. Bitoreum, we got 65 and 39. You can kind of scroll down and see the various Ghostrider, I guess these ones. There's other Ghostrider coins out there still. I don't have everything on here, but you can see the current profitability. So it looks like about 57 cents after power at Theta right now. So now let's take a look at Ghostrider with the high setting. So 5.8 kilohash at about 200 watts average or so, 11 cents per kilowatt hour. we're making, it looks like the same 57 cents after power on Theta, but we're losing a bit more on stuff like Bitoreum, Jagon coin, I don't know, JGC, whatever it's called. Raptoreum's down to 8 cents. So we are losing a bit on the other ones. That's kind of weird that this one is still the same. So I don't know what's going on there, but regardless, we're still in the green, even though we're running less efficient. But I really highly recommend running efficient, guys. Less power used, and especially if you're running variable rates or something, you may definitely want to look into this, because then you'd end up with a higher power price based on more power being used. All right, guys, so hopefully this did answer your questions on the performance of Ghostrider. If you have any questions or anything, be sure to join the Discord or let me know in the comments below. Also, we have a lot more coins we still have to test. We have Duro to test on the Astrobot algorithm. We got Pufferfish, which is, what is that one? That one's Bamboo, I believe that one's called. Some of you guys want me to check out Vera's coin. So there is a lot of things we still have to test before I do finally take this out and throw it into my workstation. That way I do know all the numbers. I don't have to worry about it later on. Thank you for watching, and Rabid out.